Hi, everyone, and welcome to a game called Quest. This is our first episode 0 featuring Thorn. My name is Rose, and I am the GM.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ben, and I will be playing Thorn.
Are you excited to get going?
I definitely am. I've been looking forward to it all day.
All right, awesome. So, this story takes place in a deep and thick and lush forest. From the high-top trees and the bright-colored foliage to the dirt paths covered in footprints, you will find travelers and woodland creatures making their way across the land. In this area, magic exists as a part of nature. Danger is wild and unpredictable, and daily life is peaceful and filled with natural wonders. We start with a wide pan over this beautiful forest, just soaring over the trees with a bird's eye view, the sun coming in through the trees. We duck down and ease our way along where we have a footpath. And you can see there are plants growing of various shapes and sizes, various fruits dangling from all of these trees. They stretch up high to the sky, taller than you could even see the top. But others are closer with thick foliage close to the ground that you can bury yourself in. And then we find Thorn. So, Ben, why don't you do 2 things for us? First, give us a description of what we see when we find Thorn. And then tell us what Thorn is doing. Where has Thorn found himself among these trees?
So Thorn is always exploring, always looking for something new. In fact, he's can sometimes get kind of restless if he's in the same place for too long, because he's always just wanting to explore, wanting to find a brand new place that he's never been to in the world. So I think this is his first time in this forest, and you'll see him taking his slow time to really appreciate a tree or a plant or a flower, and then all of a sudden, like, just something happens and he moves on quickly to something else. But then maybe he'll stop farther down the path and say, "Oh, look at this tree," and start to enjoy that for a little while. So he's sort of alternating between really patient, slow appreciation as a plant might, because Thorn is a plant person, a literal plant person. So he might do this sort of slowness to him, but then he's also very much not like a plant person. He's very unusual for, the people that he comes from, where he will just all of a sudden say, "I'm done with this and I'm ready to go on to something new and learn something new."
Can you give a description of what Thorn looks like for me?
Thorn has green skin, and it's very soft and velvety, like a leaf, like one of those like nice soft leaves that has a little peach fuzz on it. His people, when they get older, their skin gets rough and bark-like, but Thorn is still young, so he's got this nice soft velvety skin, and his hair is like these vines that grow out of his head, and they're pulled back and tied back out of his face. And he's got a very attractive face, but it's androgynous. So a lot of people will look at him and say, that's a very attractive person, but maybe they're not so sure that he is male.
He's got that defined, smooth jawline.
Yeah, I imagine him having very high cheekbones as well. I'm not sure of the biology. Maybe he doesn't have bones, but I think he's very attractive. He's very attractive looking to all people. I think all people find him objectively attractive. So I guess one other thing I wanted to say in regards to being androgynous is, he, him. But if someone were, say, an NPC were to encounter him for the first time and not be sure, and they said they, them, he would not be offended by that. He would be okay with that, because where he comes from, gender is not really a concept that his people really have as plant people.
So we get definitely like a little montage, I think, of Thorn, like each of these moments of Thorn, like catching the eye of like a beautiful magenta flower with a little honeybee fluttering around it, and Thorn kind of, we lean in and with Thorn and observe, and then like quickly with a snap dart away and resume that like peaceful flow.
Yeah, and he moves very flowingly, and he's got this long flowing green cape that sort of flutters behind him whenever he moves. So he's very graceful. Just to further describe him, below the face, he's got this like tight fitting. All of his clothes are very tight fitting to show off how attractive he is, and
Of course, he knows it.
he knows it. He knows it. Yeah. One thing I did decide for Thorn is that he does know he's attractive. He may even use that, but he's not like horny on main, as so to speak.
Yeah.
He's not an overly sexual person, but he is aware that there is some sexuality to him as a person. So he's got this very tight fitting green tunic. He's got this tight fitting brown hose, tall boots, his cape. He's not wearing any armor or anything. In fact, he doesn't even really need to wear clothes. His people are very naturalistic, and they would just go about their business in the weather as plants do. But when he came to human culture, he decided, well, I better fit in here. So
probably wear pants.
Yeah, he put on clothes, but it was choiceful clothes. So he doesn't wear a cloak because he's cold. He wears the cape because he wants that look.
Yeah, it feels right. He wears it because it speaks to him.
Absolutely. So yeah.
I think that as you are making your way down this path, something catches your eye. What you see is, as you kind of make your way, you find this fallen log with this tuft of grass around it and these multiple mushrooms. But the mushrooms have these sort of glowing yellowish orbs dancing around them. What do you do?
Thorn leans in and observes them dancing for a while before he says anything, but then eventually says, "Hello there. Hello."
And as soon as you speak, as a group, they kind of like all the little glowing orbs. They rush very quickly towards your face, and just like you feel like little pings of almost like if little raindrops were hitting you, and then they all suddenly like run away, like off into the woods.
Don't go. Oh, that was so interesting. I may never happen again.
They're you can still see them.
Are they going off in so many different directions that it wouldn't be feasible to follow?
They're all together. They're all together. Like there were like 5 of them, and now they're like swirling in a line like through the trees.
Thorn sort of looks down the path, thinking about, well, I was on a journey to go somewhere, but this is very interesting. And he's sort of weighing in his mind for a second, and then he heads off into the woods almost immediately after the little glowing lights, just to see what they are. I mean, what better does he have to do than to go find out the mystery of these little lights?
Yeah. So as you are following, it doesn't take very long for you to realize that they're all moving in synchronization. They are, bouncing from tree to tree. They swirl around the leaves and like almost like a gust of wind rustles through as they go, but it's like wind and also light. And as you follow them, you start to hear voices as you continue to follow them into the woods. You can hear just like laughing and a little bit of music. What do you do?
I think this encourages Thorn even more, because anybody that he can talk to or sing with to learn songs and stories from is who he wants to be around. So he's going to pick up the pace even faster, and he's going to wait until he can maybe see something before calling out. But he's eager to call out to whoever's voices he hears.
Definitely. So as you continue, somewhat cautiously but mostly excitedly, you reach a sort of clearing area, and you can see there is a group of people. It's set up in like a kind of, it's daytime, so there's not a fire, but they have a fire pit set up and a tent and a little carriage with a red velvet overhang. And there are 3 of them that you can see, and one of them is strumming on a like small guitar. Another is doing these sort of like acrobatic cartwheels and flips and back bends around the circle. And the third, you see the 5 little light orbs sort of start to circle them. And then he like holds up a hand, and the light just like one by one, they just absorb into the palm of his hand. And in the center where the fire would be, you can see there's like something in the shape of a cage kind of, but it's got like a velvet cover over it.
What do these people look like? Do they look human, or are they some other being?
Yeah, so the one that's playing the guitar and the one that is dancing and acrobating around, they both are dark-skinned, humanoid, but they have hair of rainbow colors. They have elven-esque ears, and they're definitely taller than like your average human would be. And you can see like the one that's doing the flips and stuff. You can tell like the anatomy of both of them is likely just like much more flexible than your average human.
They're all double jointed.
Yeah, they're like doing things that like even like a dancer would not be capable of. And the one with who absorbed the like magic orbs, he has sort of like slick back black hair. He's wearing a suit. It's like a red suit with like a black collar. He's got sort of pale skin, this like thick mustache, but there is slightly inhuman. His eyes are like way brighter blue than a normal human would be.
Okay.
So yeah, they don't see you. You're just like on the edge of the clearing. So what do you do?
I don't think Thorn is a typical trained ranger. His role is the ranger, but I think they're just skills that he kind of has naturally picked up from being a person who lives in the wilderness. But I don't think he has that necessarily like ranger mentality of like, let me scout out first. I think he's just gonna walk sort of right into camp almost and just say, "Greetings, my wonderful people. This is such amazing dancing and music, and I was drawn here by those lights. Do tell me, who are you and what are you doing here?"
The dancing elven person stops dancing and smiles at you, and the other like continues kind of like strumming, but just like a little bit softer. And the slick-haired humanoid smiles and laughs and says, "Oh, we are travelers, we are performers, we are creators of art, finding ourselves stories to tell by traveling in these woods. We are encounterers of greatness. Are you something of greatness?"
Am I something of greatness? Well, I hope one day to be the world's greatest explorer, nay, maybe the multiverse's greatest explorer, if such a thing does exist. But am I great now? I do not know. I suppose it remains to be seen, but I do feel that fate has brought me here because I too am an explorer and teller of stories and singer of songs and a lover of greatness and art. And I would greatly love to sit with you and share together what we have learned and what we know.
And he laughs, and he holds up his hand and snaps his fingers, and you hear throughout the camp laughter coming from nowhere. And he says, "You sell yourself short. One who is great must always acknowledge their truth. To not is to deny the world their greatness. But of course, you are welcome to join us. I am the overseer of this great performance act, this great circus, if you will. We are connoisseurs of such wonders as you could not possibly imagine."
A circus, you say? I would love to see what you have at your display.
The elf that was doing the acrobatics says, "Well, it couldn't hurt to practice a little bit for an audience, could it? Could it?" And the other one goes, yes, let us practice for you. Sit down. And the ringleader smiles and pats the log next to him.
Oh, I get to sit next to him. Okay. Thorn will go and sit down on the log and sort of cross his legs.
The ringleader turns to you and extends a hand and says, "To whom do I have the pleasure of sharing this glorious performance with?"
Oh my, I can't believe I forgot to introduce myself. And Thorn immediately stands back up and does like a nice bow and says, Greetings, my circus folk. I am Thorn,